Awesome, guys. Welcome back to the 19th hole. We are on episode 5 of Full Swing. Today, we're going to be bringing in the guest Duffers, as always, and my co-host from Pinehurst 6, Greg. This is going to be very, very exciting to get us back in here. Let's bring in the full crew and get this thing rolling. As always, we got Barbara, who's keeping us on track and ensuring that we don't steer off too long or we don't get too crazy political. My newfound best friend here in the world of golf reviews. And this episode is very, very intense, and it's going to be very excited. I know he's put out some great mini clips, and we're bringing in the professor himself. Welcome, guys. It's been a little bit of time. You guys excited for today's episode?
Absolutely.
Absolutely excited. This is going to be a good one.
100%.
This is definitely going to be a good one. I'm crazy excited because I saw a couple clips that Greg put out on Instagram on this, and there was definitely some intrigue in his look that I can tell. And this is why we put this whole collab together, is because he's got some deeper thoughts. And as you guys have already seen in the first 4 episodes, he definitely brings a fresh view from his side of the world against my side of the world, and definitely against the professors. You've seen so far to date, especially in the Ian Poulter episode, we definitely brought some opinions to the table. So this is why it's gotten so crazy and it's so fun. So with that being said, let's get this thing kicked off. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Episode 5.
Okay, let's go, guys. Episode 5 is called American Dreams, and we've got Matt Fitzpatrick and Dustin Johnson. Let's get started. First things first, overview. What was your general thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, I mean, Matt Fitzpatrick, first we got the stat geek, and then we go from, just the nerd of all nerds to Dustin Johnson, who could care less what he's doing. He'd rather be fishing at all times. So just you go from polar opposite people. I thought the episode was great and can't wait to talk about it.
The professor. We're talking stat geek. That's you're talking about the guy sitting in the room. Kendall, what'd you think?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I thought it was kind of cool to see Fitzpatrick and how he really relies on stats. And then Dustin is exactly what I expected him to be, where it's just kind of like he can do it whether he's practiced or not. And he believes that. So
yeah, they're definitely polar opposites. They couldn't be more different, just like Greg said. So David, how about you? How did you like this episode?
I thought it was actually very interesting, and you just kind of hit the nail right in the head when you talk about polar opposites. We're only on episode 5 right now, talking about this. Every golfer so far that we've seen, there's no similarities, right? Even Spieth and JT, those two came up playing against each other, but if you look at it and the way they both approach it, completely different. So this is one of those, like, man, there's so much difference, yet they're all crazy pros, right? And how they're playing this game. So it was very, very intriguing to watch the two different, sides of the extreme on this one.
Yeah, and we saw some of this through JT's view, and now we're seeing it through Matt's view. So what were your thoughts? What came up for you, like seeing the whole thing from a different point of view?
Which is, it's funny because I just finishing up the later episodes that became a conversation in the house. It was like, wow, this really brought it all the way around to watch each tournament from 3-4 different views and then see each person's reactions to those same tournaments that they were all playing with. For Full Swing, I'm so glad I got picked up for a second one, because that was, to me, a really great perspective of they had the old adage of any given Sunday, right? You can see anything happen in a golf tournament on any one of those days, moving days, but any given Sunday, every last one of these episodes so far has put such a different twist on the same tournaments. So it's been very, very rewarding to watch.
Yeah. And the thing about Fitzpatrick is he had a standout amateur career, right? He won in 2013, the U.S. Amateur. and then winning 7 times in Europe, and after turning professional, including 2 DP World Tour champions. But at the beginning of 2022, we were looking at him. We're looking for his first win on the PGA Tour, right? Even though we're seeing it from his point of view, when do you think we're going to get his first win on the PGA Tour?
I'm gonna let Greg or Kendall on this one, because I'll be honest, I'm not a Fitzpatrick fan. I'm like, so that's one of those I can be like, careless if he does or not. I'm like, he's not a fan of mine. He's not a fan of mine. You know what I mean? Like, our fan of his. So it's kind of one of those. It was interesting to see the comparison against DJ, but I was more interested in the DJ story.
Okay, we're going to get into the DJ story, but tell us what your thoughts are on Matt Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Matty Fitz. I think he's interesting. I think, it's very interesting to watch a kid that's 120 pounds soaking wet just stand up there and swing out of his shoes and still get it past DJ at times. And DJ is known for being one of the longer hitters on tour. So it just goes to show that any body type can play golf and play it at a high level. And there's no one way to win. So that in and of itself, I think, keeps Matt Fitzpatrick relevant and kind of interesting in my brain. But yeah, I mean, I like watching him play. Obviously, we saw him win the U.S. Open, and the U.S. Open is not technically a PGA Tour event. It's differently sanctioned, but he's won states now. I think the floodgates are going to open. I think he's going to win a couple tournaments, because you can't win a major and then everyone still doubt if you can win on the PGA Tour. You won a major. So, yeah, he's done it. He's through, and we're just waiting for him to win more.
How about you, Professor?
Yeah, I'm kind of with David on this. I at first could care less about Matt Fitzpatrick, but once I heard the heckling on that one portion of that, I was kind of like, then I was in his corner. So I was like, wow, like, how do you hit a shot after that? Like, they were on him in that one scene. So mad respect for him, but I'm still not a fan.
That is where I think part of, to your point, Kendall, is where I even kind of was like, whoa, dude, I mean, come on, man. Like, the guy's at work, like, that's tough. And it's kind of one of those, like, these guys is like testament to be able to stay in the zone or block out, the crowd around them. I mean, I remember playing in sports, being on the football field or being on the basketball court, that they're far enough away, it's easier to block them out. Those guys were standing like 4 feet. I mean, there's a rope and they're basically in his backswing, just screaming, absurdities. So yeah, there was a feel for him, like, oh, whoa. But I think one of the things I've learned drastically over the entire series, and even where we're at today in golf, there's a lot of names that I have no idea who these guys are. Mm-hmm. And that's the whole divide of LIV and, and where it is. It's also, I think, allowing Fitzpatrick to excel, and you'll see another win, from him, because there's not going to be I'm going to say this, and as Scheffler's running away with it right now, winning tournament after tournament after tournament, but there's not going to be another 12, wins in a season type of player. So it's going to get divided. The wins are going to get divided, and it's who's really going to battle for it, which I think makes for better golf.
Well, it's interesting because I know Kendall had mentioned on our last episode about how Tiger brought athleticism to the game of golf. And then you have Matt Fitzpatrick, who's like this tiny little kind of scrawny guy. And so how effective do you think he can be, even though he's not this big, strong athlete?
Well, I mean, he's still maximizing everything he has. He's still in the gym. He's working on, creating swing speed. He's working core muscle groups that, he's doing golf-specific workouts. So I do think that Tiger brought in the gym aspect to golf. I don't think he brought in athleticism. I think golfers have been athletes before Tiger. he just brought in the gym aspect and really maximizing your body for golf, which is what Matt Fitzpatrick is doing. I mean, yeah, he's this tiny little dude, but he's doing the workouts he needs to do to get his swing speed to where he can compete, and he is competing.
I feel like Greg is a super Fitzpatrick.
I'm just a golf fan, man. I like all these guys.
I agree with you, Greg. Though I mean,
from Greg.
Yes, Kendall.
Yeah. I mean, Justin Thomas is tiny. Jordan Spieth is tiny. They're all those guys are tiny. But I love the fact that it proves that you don't have to be big and physical to hit the ball or generate speed. Like Rory McIlroy, yeah, he's fit, but what is he, 5'9"? Like 165 pounds maybe at most. Like, yeah he may look big, but he's not big. He's small. Yeah, and he hits the ball a long way. So I had a friend that was 5'7" and hit the ball 320, and he was probably 150 pounds. It's just so. But to your point, Greg, yes, he's in the gym. He's working out. He's doing everything he can to increase speed because he knew that would be his deterrent, even though he's a great golfer. If he didn't do that.
So here's the perspective you could look at, because the other golfer that started out like Fitzpatrick was Shambo.
Bryson DeChambeau.
Thank you. Bryson DeChambeau, total twig. He took a season off, ate 800 pounds of protein shakes, blew up and put 85 pounds on, and came out hitting like a Mack truck. But the guy is a, protractor wizard, when it comes to, the science and the analytics of golf. What he realized at his size at the time, the way he was competing, he couldn't play with Rory, Dustin Johnson, these guys who've kind of mastered that core strength, that centerability of Lucas. If you watch, even Tiger right now, Rory, Tiger, these guys barely move. Their head movement, their positions, it is pure core and in tempo technique that just murders the ball. And then you have someone like, Furyk, who's got the most out of the space, swing, and, but he's methodically down the center, right? His swing puts him methodically down this center. I used to think Stricker was one of the guy who he reminded me kind of a John Stockton or something, who you'd expect the way he plays so consistently, he'd be raking up wins left and right, and he just never crossed that threshold to where you thought that proficiency came into play. And I think a lot of the golfers that have done that is a difference is, to Kendall's, beginning point, is those who took it to be more of a athleticism, the gym, we want to add that extra oomph of strength to the game.
Speaking of oomph and strength to the game, that leads us to Dustin Johnson. I mean, he is a massive human playing the game. So tell me your thoughts on Dustin in this episode. Are you a Dustin fan, number one? And number two, what did you think of him? Kind of, we'll do a general, and then we'll go into different details. So who's a Dustin fan?
It's going to surprise no one. I'm a Dustin fan. I'm a golf fan.
Okay. So is there anyone
I love Dustin Johnson.
I can't wait to find out if there's anyone we mentioned that you don't like. We'll see.
Bryson DeChambeau wasn't on the show, so we're good.
Maybe.
I love Dustin Johnson. Dustin Johnson is probably one of my favorites. I like that interview with him. Like when he says, "I don't care," I believe it. And I think that's why he won so much, is because he doesn't care what anyone thinks. He only cares about his performance, and that is it. And when he leaves the course, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about all the noise outside. And I love it about him. Like that's.
So
I love Dustin Johnson. He's one of my favorites.
Here's a perfect example of that, because I felt the same way listening to Koepka, when he's like, "I don't care about this and that." But when you watch him and you watch him deeper in his interviews, you could tell he cared. Like he wasn't playing with the other ones. To Kendall's point, there wasn't any part of behind the scenes or anything that to me, other than him like, hey, tell him to get the card out of my shot, right? That he cared about anything in any particular moment. Like
right,
that.
I think that speaks to he's really happy with his game of golf, where Koepka wasn't necessarily happy with his game of golf. Right?
100. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. And so for him, so what did you think of Dustin when he was watching viral videos of himself?
So that's really funny because I've always wondered, and I think we might have had the conversation off screen, when it comes to celebrity, right? How much do they dive into their persona? And I think one of the pieces that they showed amongst a ton of the players was that drive to the course, right? They're in the car and they're playing a radio, listening to a clip about themselves that I'm just like, I honestly don't like. I thought it was funny that he was watching a funny meme about himself. And that made total sense the way he was interviewing and everything like that. I don't see Dustin Johnson trolling the internet to see who's talking shit about him. Like that just he doesn't seem like that type of guy at all.
Yeah.
Well, look at his father-in-law. I mean, he's had to deal with all kinds of media from eons and eons. Like he's the greatest hockey player to ever play the game. So, he's probably giving them some advice as well, on top of his, his natural ability to just not care.
Well,
and for those who don't know what Kendall's talking about, Dustin Johnson's father-in-law is the great Wayne Gretzky. And so, his daughter is married to Dustin Johnson.
And we can, I don't want to use this platform to dive deeper into, I have a feeling his exit to LIV was to get away from that, kind of that Gretzky, are you going to be the greatest? You're going to be the world greatest, like this now, you're going to be the number one in your thing, versus I'm going to go over here, make a ton of money. I'm going to turn this into a financial win, right? Dad, and continue to have fun golfing, right? I'm going to come over here and have fun. I don't have to be number one in the world anymore. Been there, done that, got there, right? Now I'm going to take the payday. I'm going to go over here, spend more time with my family, which I think in all sincerity, this is one of those scenarios I look at it and go, his move to LIV may actually help out his marriage in the long run and his family by getting some of that time back.
I don't disagree with you. I do believe it was a business decision for him. And by extension, 100%. Right? And by extension, he plays less and makes more. Yeah. So, thoughts, gentlemen?
I actually think, if anything, Wayne Gretzky probably said, he probably asked his opinion, and he said, well, if you're going to, what he said in the show, if you're going to be able to work less at doing the job you love to do and get paid more, it's a no-brainer. Everyone should do it, or you're kind of an idiot, right? So... I think it was business and only.
I thought surprisingly, for Dustin Johnson of all people, because he gets so much grief on his interview capabilities. He always, I don't know why, he always seems like he's high. He just seems completely just kind of in a second state of mind. He had probably the most clean cut, guys, why is everyone talking so much left and right? If I came to your office right now today and gave you twice as much money and told you can work less, would you not take that job? Would you not take that promotion? Right?
Who wouldn't in this course?
I'm looking forward every day.
I love working less and making more all 100%. The time.
100%.
Yeah.
100.
So, but then there's another layer. It's like the respect and honor of the PGA. So, that we're still on that fine line. So how are you feeling still about some of the players going to LIV? I know last week we were good with Ian Poulter going to LIV. how are we, or 2 weeks ago, how are we feeling about Dustin Johnson?
I mean, DJ just kind of makes sense to me to go to LIV. He doesn't really seem to care about playing any other tournament. Really, the only thing I have against these LIV guys is when now they try to sue the PGA Tour to play the PGA Tour tournaments as well. Like DJ said, I thought you wanted to work less and make all this money, but now you want to work more, but still have the money. You can't have your cake and eat it too, right? So, I mean, do you want to play PGA Tour events, or do you want to take the money and just play these 8 events a year? And DJ, he's perfectly fine with playing 8 events a year and just hanging out with Paulina the rest of the time, which most of us would be. So I don't blame him. But I did think it was interesting, Paulina saying her dad was a hockey player, probably the understatement of the century there. But it just goes to show, like, her mindset, like, oh, yeah, my dad was away on my birthdays. Like, I'm sure I didn't like that. It's like, yeah, but he also provided a pretty nice life for you. But now DJ can provide a great life for his kids and still be around because he's only got to play golf eight weeks a year.
Let's be honest, he all he cares about majors anyway.
Yeah.
But you know what? Cupco was that
so
way
he
too.
can still play the
Where
majors.
he's at. I mean, let's be honest. So let's take a poll right now. Who's watched a LIV event?
Nope.
I have no interest. I have no interest in watching a LIV event, but I'll watch a PGA event.
Yeah, I've seen clips on Instagram. That's about it.
Right.
Their ball races are absolutely hilarious. They're just flying off the center of the map and not even tracking the ball. It's great.
It's and I don't know. I mean, they're trying hard, right? I know you guys saw this week they LIV posted the Australia hole that's supposed to match the Waste Management, hole, par 3. It's literally almost the identical design of how they're going to set up the grandstands and everything to emulate that hole. So the battle of them going back and forth, talking about, oh, it must be nice that, the PGA made their announcements about, sanction, like they're going to do kind of the same thing, like somewhat of the same format. So, the suing part, I don't know. You made your choice.
I think the PGA is just as bad if you think about it, because now they're going to do no-cut events. I mean,
I hate the no-cut events.
They had no-cut events before. So I mean,
if you're complaining about how someone's doing something, then you do the same thing, then you're just as bad. So
here's the reality of it: is LIV made a knockout. They knocked them down. They knocked the PGA down, right? It made the PGA have to get up and fight. Right, they had to put more money in the purses. They had to put, this. Here's a question for you guys, and it's a sidetrack of maybe this episode, but I think the PGA should let the LPGA play. Put them all in the same tournaments. You want to play with the best amongst the best, then sure, go for it.
They have a joint tournament coming up, actually.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see that. I'm totally excited to see that, because we were talking about this as like, hey, I think truly to my heart, there are women golfers that will beat probably half of the field of the top 125 in the PGA. I think they have the skill and mindset to do it. The drawback, unfortunately, they have is they just don't have the audience. So now that the PGA is flushing all this more money all of a sudden into the, into winning tournaments, I think right now, Scheffler's already over 20 million in winnings in this season alone, right? Like it's crazy of how much all of a sudden in one season they have all this extra money, right? So I think LIV finally exposed some of the suits behind the scene. We're probably making a heck of a lot more, and they finally had to give up a little bit to make the newer, more modernized PGA.
Well, it was absolutely a monopoly. And if nothing else, LIV showed up to shake it up and shake up that monopoly, and they have to shift. And so that's the good news about LIV. It helped the PGA shift.
100%. So, I'm crazy excited to see the changes, because I think to couple of the golfers' comments, you're now going to be forced to play against other players at a higher level. And it's going to shake up. It's going to shake up and test people's true skill sets, because it's not hard to be number one when you show up to a tournament and there's only like 3 of the top 15 players in the world at the tournament. Now all of a sudden 1 through 20 have to be mandatory at certain tournaments. We're going to see a shakeup.
I do hate the PGA Tour is going to some no-cut events. I don't know. I think it was more the fans that were against the no-cut events when LIV was first introduced. I don't think the PGA Tour was really like, oh, they're doing no-cut events. I do think that was just the fans. I think the PGA Tour was like, what the hell, you're paying this guy $200 million? I think that's more what they were against rather than no cuts. But just as a competitor and wanting to see people, earn their paycheck every week like I've been accustomed to seeing on the PGA Tour, I hate the no-cut events.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's the one thing that this sport, that's how it's different from all other sports. Like, you get a contract to play hockey or basketball or baseball, you get a contract, you're getting paid. Here you had to earn it, and that's one of the things with this sport that I think, to me at least, that's what kept me so intrigued by it. Was that you have to be at your best. Like, you have to make the weekend. You're doing everything in your power. You're going to lose your job, right? Whereas all the other sports, they don't lose their job. Even if they get fired, they get paid. So if they're going to no-cut events and guaranteed money, then it's boring to me.
Yeah. So is money the root of all evil?
Of course. Hands down.
Yeah.
And what would be your number to go to LIV?
Well, I mean, obviously, I don't have the bankroll
right now to go to LIV.
What'd you say?
So you can give me $100K right now and go to LIV.
Yeah, because I can do 85 and make 80K for each tournament. Last place makes 80K. So yeah, give me 200K just to get me in the door, and then I'll go shoot 92, 95 and make 80K. That'll be fine. I don't care.
100%.
I'll go down history shooting a 120.
Duffers live golf. Duffers
100%.
live golf. Right?
100%. That would be a no-brainer. Just to be able to. Somebody asked the same question. He goes, "Would you play in the NBA just to sit on the bench as a third string?" Yep.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
In the house.
I used to get asked the question all the time. Would you get in the ring with Mike Tyson back in the day for $1 million? Yeah, I'd let him hit me once.
Yeah.
Because that's all we do.
Knock me the fuck out. Excuse me.
But that right there is the truest. That's the ultimate, like when you talk about different steps in your life, right? When you get to different levels and you start leveling up in your life, there's certain moments and everything like this. 100%. As soon as you said touch gloves, I'd hit the ground. All right, done. You won. Pay me. I'm out. Sorry, I didn't make it.
So back to American Dreams. Overall thoughts on this episode. Looking forward to the next one. Tell me what your thoughts are.
I thought this was a great bridge between. DJ is still a number one player. I think he's still, ranked a top 5 player easy. So it was great to show one of, at some point in the season's number one, playing against what I kind of still consider, Fitz to be a rookie, trying to get his first big wins, on tour, under his belt and get a name for himself. It was that giant versus, the small guy, episode. I don't care. I've done it. I've won it. I've got the money. I can go make more money versus all I want to do is play. I keep a stat for every swing I make, from the range to the thing. Like, it was that methodical. I want it so bad. And it kind of reminded me of a Tom Brady. He had to put in so many extra reps, so many extra time, so much extra workout, so much extra, study and practice to become great. And that's where I do see Fitz's story playing. there's a lot of players out there. So we'll see.
I mean, you say that Fitz is great, but he pulls up and they don't even know if he's a player or a caddy. So
That's what I'm saying. It's a rookie story, and like I think he has the mind game to be very, very successful.
Yeah.
I think he needs to hit the gym a little bit harder, but we'll see.
Yeah. Greg?
Yeah. So I loved the contrast between the two guys. Like I said, I think DJ makes sense going to LIV, and I think they're actually doing a really fair job being a PGA Tour documentary, really documenting all the reasons why these guys would want to go to LIV. I do think they've done a good job of that. DJ just wants to spend time with his family, and he doesn't care to play more golf than 8 times a year. That's fine. Matt Fitzpatrick, I think he's going to be great. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. Tracking every shot you've ever hit is just absolutely insane. I caddied for our guy Brandon, who's the current Mink champ. No big deal. Caddied for him in a local tournament and tracked every shot he hit for 2 rounds, and it was exhausting. I cannot imagine doing that for every shot I've ever hit, let alone on the range. That's just stupid. But he's got a formula, and he doesn't want to break it. And obviously it's worked for him. He's had a decorated history, and he's won a major now. So no one can really take that away from him. But yeah, definitely excited to move forward to the next episode. I did like this episode.
Kendall?
I agree. Yeah. I mean, you guys all hit the nail on the head. Dustin was my favorite part of it. I had a little bit of added respect for Fitzpatrick after, like you said, the tracking and the heckling, and golf is not easy. So
100%.
And we'll find that out as we continue going through these episodes. Thank you, gentlemen, for this, for coming and talking again on this really great show. If you haven't watched it yet, make sure you catch these episodes and then come and watch us and our commentary, comment, see if you agree with us or you disagree. We love all of it. Subscribe to our channel. And if you're a Duffer, you want to come here for all your future golf course reviews. We'll see you next time. Thanks, gentlemen.